Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly 30-minute webinar. My name is John Deline, a systems engineer here at Variphy, and I'll be your host for today's session. Today, we're joined by my fellow SC and unflappable colleague, Brian McKay. How you doing, Brian?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, there he is.
My mic I muted earlier, so it must have got auto-muted at some point. Sorry about that.
Well, heading on up from here.
Yeah, going up from here.
Good to hear your voice.
Well, thank you.
For today's session, we're going to talk about what happens when a Variphy user leaves the company and how to migrate the reports and dashboards that they created. Please note that these webinars are always recorded and posted within 24 hours, so you can review them at any time. Check out the webinars page at variphy.com for all our past and upcoming sessions. You can also find these videos on our YouTube channel if that's easier for you. First, we'll start off with a quick overview of what Variphy can do for you. Then we'll jump into a live demo where Brian will explain why you don't delete that user just yet. Brian will walk you through how to properly move those reports and dashboards over to another user. We'll pause for Q&A, so during the demo, if you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the chat. After Q&A, we'll award one lucky attendee with a $50 Amazon gift card. So hang around to see if you've won. A quick overview of Variphy. Variphy is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco Call Manager, Contact Center Express, CubeIOS, WebEx calling, Zoom Phone, and MS Teams collaboration. Deployable either on-premise or as a hosted cloud solution, we provide industry-leading call reporting and analytics, as well as customizable dashboards and widgets. CUCM management modules include remote phone control, change management, and dial plan management are also available. If you have questions on any of our features, please contact us at support@variphy.com or reach out to your account manager. One more thing before we kick things off. For an additional fee, Variphy offers an enhanced consulting service to our customers. Variphy's SE team engages with you on a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, report building, dashboard configuration, and system monitoring assistance. This is a service that provides you with a dedicated Variphy SE to do the heavy lifting, giving you a stress-free, hands-off experience. For more information, please contact us, your account manager, and we'd be glad to speak more in depth about pricing and terms of service for our enhanced consulting services, or ECS. It's time to go into the wild here, Brian. I'm ready to hand things off to you. Remember, everyone, type questions into or anything that you want to ask us into the chat, and we'll address them towards the end of Brian's presentation.
All right, sounds good. Let me grab control here and pick the right screen. There we go. Okay, you should be seeing my Variphy config here.
There it is.
All right. And then let me bring up my notes that it hid from me, of course. So when it comes to user accounts and cleaning up user accounts, if a user leaves the company or no longer needs access to the application, whatever, the main thing I want you to remember from this is that everything that the user has created as far as reports, dashboards, and I believe schedules is tied to that user account. So that means that if they created it, they own it. And they determine how those things are shared out, or if they're shared out for that matter. So if the user profile disappears, so do the associated reports and dashboards. So always take the extra steps before deleting any users and verify that they don't have any reports or dashboards out there that are being shared to other people, that are getting delivered on a schedule, etc. Because once you delete them, they're gone. Now, they may not be gone forever. There may be a way to get them back. So if you catch it fairly soon, we can get on with you on a support session and restore a previous configuration of Variphy. We do keep a local backup of the configuration that we take nightly. But we only keep those for about a 2-week rolling window. So if you deleted a user a month ago, and it didn't really get noticed until now that those monthly reports aren't running, or nobody bothered to tell you that the dashboards are broken or missing, it's probably going to be too late to go back and recover that user's info after that long. So in most cases, we'll be able to manually recreate dashboards and reports that have gone missing, but depending on the number and complexity of them, that could be a bit time consuming and certainly not ideal. So I'm just going to go through some strategies on how to migrate things off of a user account before you retire it, or maybe you don't even need to retire it. There's actually an easier way to deal with it that I've found that I'll share with you first. You know, if you want to just cut to the chase, let's talk about that first, and then, you know, but just in case an account does get deleted accidentally, we'll go over some strategies on how to mitigate that. So I just created a few test accounts in this lab I spun up this morning. I just call them user 1, user 2, user 3, etc. And by the way, I'm going to be jumping between accounts. If you're ever like juggling things between accounts and verifying, and you can't remember which account you were logged in, which I do often, easiest way to check is just go to this little icon up here. Click on this and it'll show you which account you're logged in. So currently I'm logged in with user 1. Let's just say user 1 is like the power user, the manager, and then users 2, 3, 4, etc. are their supervisors underneath them. So let's say user 1 has a couple of reports that are mission critical for them. You know, I just did a couple basic reports, 911 calls and all calls. The same thing with dashboards. I just did a couple of basic dashboards for the same thing. I just basically used the criteria from those reports to build out these dashboards. Same thing, you know, but in most cases in an actual production environment, obviously you're going to have more detailed dashboards for things, and you're going to want to retain those if that person leaves the company. So let's say they quit, and you know, a month later you're doing cleanup. You notice that, you know, they still have an account in Variphy. They still have an account of Active Directory, which may or may not be linked to their Variphy account, and you want to just clean up those accounts. So let's go ahead and log out here. We're going to log in as an admin account. And we're going to go to users, and then we'll see all the accounts they've set up. So let's say that this person has a couple reports that are shared out and they run on a monthly schedule, weekly schedule, whatever. They also have dashboards that are shared out both to individual users, their supervisors, and are shared out to like a call center floor or something like that. So this is a permalink, and this is one of the ways that the dashboard can be shared. So the user, well, like I said, when they create these, they control how things get shared. So for example, actually I kind of got ahead of myself. So let me go back to user 1 and I'll show you real quick. Thankfully I pre-saved all these passwords to save time. So with reports is really just one basic sharing method. When you create the report, it's got this toggle at the top in the first panel that says can be shared. That gets turned on by default when you first create a report. So if you're creating a private report that you don't want others to see, you want to definitely toggle that off. So admins will still be able to see it if they search for it, but anybody who is not an admin will not have access to that report. But like I said, it gets toggled on by default when you create a new report. So just keep that in mind. That's really the only option. It's either shared or it's not. And if it's not, only admins can search it out. With dashboards, there's a couple different ways to share. One is by sharing directly to, and just because I'm moving kind of fast, sorry. So to share, you go to the 3 dots next to the dashboard dropdown and you choose share. And you can share it either to individual users who have access to Variphy. So these are all the supervisors that have their own logins. They can log into Variphy and run their own reports, you know, check the dashboards, create their own dashboards if they want. So that's one way. Now, when they get shared to these users, it is on a read-only basis. They cannot make any changes to your dashboard from their profile. But what they can do is copy your dashboard to their profile and make their own version of it. And then once they've copied it, they can do whatever they want with the copy. They can rename it, they can edit it, make changes to the widgets, etc. But your original dashboard is always going to be untouched. The other way to share it is with permalink. So permalink just allows public access. You can put a security passphrase on it if you want, and then you just distribute this URL. And then the permalink will just show up in this URL like this. And all it gives them is access to view the dashboard and modify the appearance in this view if they want. But there's no direct access to Variphy. That doesn't require a login to Variphy. Doesn't really require any user account or permissions to access this. It's just a purely read-only link. So those are the two ways you can distribute dashboards to people. There's not really a direct way to export a dashboard to another profile at this time, where you would just be able to spin up a dashboard in your profile, blast it to somebody else's profile, and they have a full dashboard that they have full access to change. It's pretty much just, either the permalink or the read-only share that they can make copies of. Let's say that let's go ahead and log out of here. Wait, which one are we in? See, I always check this because I forget. Okay, user one. So we're in user one. User one's left the company, and you want to clean up his account. Now I'm going to give you the shortcut first. Honestly, the best way to manage this, that's going to be the least interrupting to the users and the least headache for you, is just to kind of change the account to an archive account. So what I mean by that is log out of here. It's still going to be an active account, but you're just going to kind of rename it, lock down the password so no one can get into it but you. And it's basically going to be pretty seamless to the users if you do it that way. So you can go in here, go in as admin, which is the system admin account, go to the user account. And we can just take this user one and we can just call it user one, do underscore archive or whatever designation you want to give it. We can change the password. So I'll just basically add an extra character to the password. And if it's an Active Directory account, you can untoggle the Active Directory. So when you do Active Directory, it blots out the password because it's going to be using their Active Directory password. But let's say you want to retire them from Active Directory as well. So you want to unassociate that as an Active Directory account and then put in the password manually. And that's still going to allow the account to function. And if they are part of an assigned group, you'll probably want to take them out of that as well, because especially if they're in an Active Directory group, Active Directory groups can only hold Active Directory accounts. So you couldn't untoggle them and have them still be a member of this group. In fact, I think the group overrides the individual permissions. So you'd want to take them out of the group first, then toggle off Active Directory, then give them any permissions they need, which I just gave them Call Analytics Administrator, which means they have full control over the call reporting functions, but not the other functions in Variphy, and then save that. So we'll save that. So now that is an archived user, essentially. You've changed the password, so there's no way the user can get back into it in any way. And things will continue to function. So here's their shared permalink, and it still works, still refreshes just fine. Other users will still see their reports, because even though you've changed the name of the profile and how they log in, you have not changed the profile itself or its ownership over those reports and dashboards. So that's probably the easiest way, honestly. Just slap an archive or whatever on it, so you know that it's someone who's left the company. One other caveat with that, if they have actually left the company, they probably have an email account in here. So if you go to email recipients under notification delivery, you're probably going to see, I didn't set any up for this, but you would see them in here if they were an active user that was, getting reports and things like that. So any email addresses that show up here are not tied to the user accounts. This is just a manual static list of email recipients that you put in. So you'd want to clean them up out of there, just delete them. Or if someone's taking over their responsibilities and wants to get the same scheduled reports and things they got, you could just edit it and rename it to the new person, put their name and email address in. That's going to update it on all the report schedules, if any. And again, that just keeps things as seamless as possible. And then you can go on about your day and not have to worry about migrating all this stuff over. But, let's cover the worst case scenario where you did accidentally delete an account. So I'm going to go in, since I'm still admin, I'm going to go ahead and delete the user one account. And we will see that when we delete this with the little trash can icon here, it does warn you Deleting this user will result in all associated privileges and settings being removed. It doesn't mention reports and dashboards, though, so you might miss that. But those are going to go away, too. So it does give you a brief warning, but it probably could be a little more explicit. But we're just going to go and blow past this, as we often do when we're doing admin stuff like this, and confirm that. So what does that happen? What happens when you delete user 1? Well, when you go to refresh the dashboard, there's the blue minion of death. I know we don't really call them minions because we don't want to get sued by Universal, but I just call them the blue minions. But yeah, your permalink's going to die. Any users that log in that access those reports manually, like user 2, for example, or user 2, 3, or 4 that's shared with all of them, well, those are going to disappear as well. They're going to search for the reports and they're not going to be able to find it. Also, any schedules that were associated with those reports are gone too, because once the report is gone, the schedule that's associated to it is gone. So let's say you delete that, just trying to clean house a little bit. And then, all of a sudden you're getting calls from the call center floor that the dashboard's permalink's not working. And you're getting calls from the supervisors that they're not getting their scheduled reports. And then you're like, oh, whoops, I think I know why. So how do we recover from this? Well, there's a few ways. One is, call support or email support at verify.com. Open a ticket that way, and we can assist you with trying to do a recovery of the Verify config. Like I said, it has to be within the last couple of weeks. If it's older than that before this gets caught, then it's probably too late. But if it's a recent change, we should be able to recover that. But there's a couple other ways. So, for example, let's say that user 2 knew that user 1 was leaving and wanted to make sure that they had some reports, those reports available still. So let's go ahead and log out. We'll log in as user 2 here. All right, so these reports, actually these oh, okay, shared reports. And this is interesting. Yeah, I've noticed that it leaves kind of artifacts behind too. So that's probably another reason why you don't want to just, delete it outright. Because typically, so like if you go to just my reports, there's no report. It's still showing share reports, but I think it's probably gonna, well, that's interesting. Huh. I wonder if it's just like leaving some artifacts behind that don't fully get cleared out until like the next service restart or something. So that is interesting. I wasn't expecting to see these in here because they disappeared when I tested this earlier. But like I said, there may be some things that linger. It may just be hanging out in memory. And then like once the service restarts, this is going to go away. But let's say, let's take a look at the dashboard. Let's say, so they had it, let's say they have the dashboard shared. The shared dashboard is not showing up. It would show up under shared dashboards beneath the My Dashboards category. But let's say they made a copy of it. They copied the dashboard because they thought they might want to play around with it and make their own changes to it at some point. So let's say they have the dashboard that was deleted with the other profile. Well, you can just easily just share it out again to, whoever needs it. You can do add user or group. We'll just do user 3 needs it, user 4 needs it, and then permalink is required as well. And we'll copy that, save that, and then we should be able to paste the new permalink in, and then it should come right back up. So that's one way to mitigate the damage, is if you have it shared somewhere else, you can grab that shared copy and just reshare it out to everybody. It is going to be a different permalink, even though it's basically a copy of the exact same dashboard. So you would have to have people update their permalinks. In worst case scenario, that isn't too bad if you have someone who's got a copy of it to share out. As far as the reports goes, let's say, yeah, I'm just going to do this. I wonder if I can, yeah, I wonder if I can just delete these out and then re-import them. So I'm going to delete this. Yeah, so now there's no report showing up. Everything's blank. Okay, so now let's say that they had taken an import of those reports. We could grab that import. Just gonna browse to where I backed them up. So here's the all calls. Import that. And then do the other one, the 911. Import that. And then basically you would just have to make sure these are marked private. Now, when you import them, you notice that the can be shared is toggled off. So when you import them, they're toggled off by default. So you just have to remember to toggle those back on. Save that. And then anybody who has the basic report permissions to see shared reports will see these show up in their reports. Now, if there were any schedules associated with the reports, those are gone, and you will have to recreate those, unfortunately, because there's not a way to export the schedules like there is the reports. So just as far as how I exported these reports from earlier, this little download button here will just download it to a .json file. So you can take that and import it anytime. If you lose a report, you can re-import it. If you want that report on a different cluster, for example, you can port it over to that other cluster, and it will show up in there because the reports are both profile and cluster specific. So like, let's say you have a second cluster that you want to add that report to, you could just switch to that cluster and import it in there, and it would show up. So, we've avoided the worst of the damage. We still have to create any report schedules that were in use, recreate them rather, but we've recovered our reports and we've recovered our dashboards. So hopefully, you'll never be in the situation where you delete it and lose all this stuff because there's no recent backups of it and nobody has any copies of it saved. Like I said, honestly, the best thing, in my opinion, would just be to archive the user like I did earlier, because the users are never even going to notice. Everything's just going to keep working for them and less headaches for you. But let's say you don't want a lot of archived user accounts in Variphy. Let's say that you're a pretty large organization and you have a fairly high turnover maybe, and you don't want a bunch of dead accounts littering the Variphy account list. And you kind of just want to consolidate all these into a single user profile. So one strategy a lot of our customers have done is they just do everything under the admin account and share it out from there, because the admin account cannot be deleted. You can't get permanently locked out. I mean, you can lock yourself out of it if you change the password and forget it, but we can get in and unlock it for you. So the admin account's a pretty safe bet. But if you don't want to use the admin account for whatever reason, you could use a different account. So I set up one here called shared reports, and basically I'm going to actually, let me go ahead and go back into user 2, because I'm just going to reshare to that one from there. So if I want to share the dashboard out, I'm going to do this. I'm going to share it. Let's say I'm going to migrate this over to share reports. So I'm going to add that in as well, so it'll show up under that account. And then once we move it over to share reports, we can redo the permalink process from share reports. And that can be kind of the central repository for any reports or dashboards that you want to disassociate from user accounts that you want to retire and clean up out of the system. So that's done. And then same thing with that was the dashboard part, but same thing with the reports. Let's see. How come my dashboard isn't showing up? That's weird. Let me try it. Okay, that's weird. Love when that happens. I am in the user 2 account, right? Yeah, okay. So for some reason, this is not showing up now. That's weird. Not sure why. Okay, we'll have to go see if it shows up in the other one. All right, I love when that happens in a live demo. But anyway, let's move on here. I know we're running short on time. Sorry, John. Let's say that yeah, you want to consolidate this, and you're going to go through the same process with the report. You're basically just going to download it with this to the JSON file, and then you're going to import it under that other profile.
All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for everyone who attended today. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. Our next session will be on September 11th when Matt hosts and Jim walks you through how to build out some commonly requested MS Teams widgets like top sales performers, top departments, or queues by volume. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Bill.